Thomas Love here again of Belle Epoque Realty. I am here today to talk a little bit about the market conditions in the historic Springfield neighborhood. I want to spend just a few minutes sort of discussing it. Historic Springfield is a neighborhood that has seen tremendous changes within a relatively short period of time, and the market conditions for this neighborhood, and any neighborhood for that matter, are constantly changing. Things are particularly interesting in the historic Springfield neighborhood because of the nature of the neighborhood, and the types of changes that we're seeing, I think, are unique compared to a lot of other neighborhoods throughout the city of Jacksonville, at least at the moment. So for those of you who are not really familiar with historic Springfield is located about 1 mile north of downtown Jacksonville. The center of downtown Jacksonville, travel about 1 mile north. That's where the historic Springfield residential neighborhood is. It's Jacksonville's oldest neighborhood. It's roughly a square mile. It's defined by the boundaries of 1st Street in the south, 12th Street in the north, Ionia on the east, and Boulevard to the west. The area contains approximately 1,200 homes or so. You have really unique homes in this neighborhood, older homes, and it's defined by a classic grid pattern. Lots of live oak trees, magnolia trees, a really robust canopy of trees. That's an essential element of the neighborhood. You also have a main commercial thoroughfare, Main Street, which runs down the middle and separates Springfield into an east and west side. Then you have a secondary commercial corridor, 8th Street, that runs east to west, west to east, that separates the northern segment of Springfield from the southern segment of Springfield. So you have 4 quadrants: northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast. So I'm going to be exploring 2 distinct periods of time, 6-month periods of time. That's what we like to use for comparative market analysis. That's what appraisers like to use when they estimate value. They look at sales within the past 6 months to give a more accurate snapshot of what the market is doing. So I'm going to be looking at the 6 months that occurred between August 20th, 2018 and ended on February 20th, 2019. And I'm going to be comparing that period with the period beginning August 20th of 2019 and ending today, which is February 20th, 2020. So with those 2 periods defined, let's take a look at the period that occurred between 2018 and 2019. There were 48 sales total in the neighborhood within that period of time. 11 sales under 100,000, 10 sales between 100 and 200,000, 7 sales between 200 and 300,000, 18 sales between 300 and 400,000, and then 2 sales above 400,000. So if you compare that with the numbers that I'm looking at today in the 6 months immediately preceding today, which is February 20th, 2020, you've only had 5 sales under the $100,000 mark compared to 11 sales of the year-over-year comparison prior. So that is consistent, I think, with what I've been seeing, what a lot of other people have been seeing in the neighborhood, that as interest in the neighborhood has grown and investors have come in, a lot of the fixer-uppers that the neighborhood was long known for have been spoken for. There's not many left. Many of these houses have been purchased with the intention of renovating them, either by homeowners or investors who intend to sell to homeowners. So the number that we're looking at now, with 5 sales occurring under $100,000, I think reflects that fact. The inventory of fixer-uppers has significantly declined lately. If we move on to the price range between $100,000 and $200,000, there hasn't been much change. 10 properties sold 2018 and 2019 versus 12 most recently. If we move on to the next price range, we're looking at 7 sales between 2018 and 2019 that sold between $200,000 and $300,000. Compare that with the most recent 6 months ending in 2020. We had 22 sales of houses priced between $200,000 and $300,000. So the neighborhood is definitely maturing and fleshing out. So houses priced between $200,000 on the low end and $300,000 on the high end has become a very robust segment. It is an example of how the neighborhood has matured to a certain extent. If we move on to the next higher price range, houses that have sold between $300,000 and $400,000, we had 18 of them within that period of time of August 2018 to February of 2019, versus today, in the last 6 months immediately preceding today, we've had 11 sales in that price range. Finally, the last segment are houses priced over $400,000, and this is still a rarefied level in the historic district. We've only had 2 sales from 2018 2018, the middle of 2018 to the early 2019 versus 3 sales. Most recently, the most recent 6 months. So properties priced over $400,000 are still not terribly common. Certainly sales of properties over $400,000 is not very common in the neighborhood still. And that's still one of the primary differences between Springfield and one of the other historic neighborhoods like Riverside, for instance, or Avondale, who each have a ton of sales over $400,000 within that period of time. For those of you who are interested in purchasing a historic home in Jacksonville, Springfield still, at this point, presents a great opportunity. Prices typically are lower still as compared to the other historic districts or historic neighborhoods in the city of Jacksonville. Our challenges, however, are that inventory levels remain really tight. As of right now, we only have 27 active listings in the multiple listing service for historic Springfield, so inventory levels are extremely tight. If you are in the market, if you're wanting to purchase a home here in Springfield, there's not a whole lot to choose from. Typically, as we move closer to the springtime and more sellers get into sort of a selling mindset, inventory levels will typically rise. So I would say that if you're searching for a home in Springfield now, patience is going to be key. That's it for this market update. I'm going to be talking about some of the other neighborhoods in Jacksonville, starting with some of the historic districts and upcoming vlogs. If you like what you see here, please consider subscribing. We upload a new episode every Thursday, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics related to selling real estate here in the Jacksonville, Florida market, information for buyers, information for sellers and investors. If you have any questions about anything that I've said in this video, or if there's something that you'd specifically like me to talk about, let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to respond. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you soon.